Good morning to all.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. On this day, this is my privilege to welcome you all for this second webinar, in fact, on our ACCE platform. Earlier, we had on Ramco platforms, but this is the second one on our own platform. I welcome Dr. Ram Prakash, today's speaker. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Then our own members, Dr. R. Jagdish and Dr. M.R. Kalgal, both are the panelists. I heartily welcome you, sir, both of you.
Thank you.
I also welcome Dr. M.U. Ashwath, sir, Principal, BIT College. I welcome you, sir. This is my privilege to welcome one and all the participants. Now, I would like to talk something about ACCE activities. Association of all sorts of civil engineers, maybe consultants, contractors, or government engineers, and so on. Its headquarters is in Bangalore, having about 24 centers spread across India. We have members from all sorts of categories like consulting, then designing, then facility managers, constructors, contractors, project managers, PMCs, academicians, professionals, and government service. Then student members are also there. Become one and all. Our objectives of the association are not limited to the dissemination of knowledge amongst all civil engineers by arranging seminars, workshops, webinars, and at international, national, and local levels. Promoting awareness in the society about the various aspects of civil profession. To act as a spokesperson for civil engineers to deal with the various government and semi-government bodies regarding policy matters affecting civil engineering profession in particular and society at large.
Yes.
It is to be noted that 50% of the central government planned expenditure of the country goes to the construction industry, and half of this fund is utilized only for the building. In this, it is very large investment, and as per this Planning Commission or today's Niti Ayoga, optimum returns should be assured, wastage should be minimized, and the natural resources shall be utilized on the principle of sustainability and becomes the fundamental responsibility of every citizen in general, but civil engineers in particular. To accomplish this goal, NBC 2016 has incorporated all the aspects into an achievable goal model, and now it is of everybody's fundamental responsibility to adhere to these provisions, especially the government agencies and the practicing civil engineers, for that matter, not only limited to civil engineers, because I am representing Civil Engineering Forum, I mentioned civil engineers, does not mean only civil engineers. And also the municipal bodies to incorporate in their bylaws. Sorry. However, there are few unorthodox, organizations or thinkers or people in our construction profession which are not willing to accept these fundamental realities, and some of them are in fact opposing these NBC norms and the Supreme Court observations. We at ACCE Bangalore Center trying our level best to implement these fundamentals and provisions of NBC 2016 by writing to various organizations, government bodies, agencies to incorporate all these NBC provisions. It is always Bangalore Center's endeavor to set right all the leftover basics and the track of the betterment for the betterment of the society, keeping civil engineering profession at its dignified place. Now, with this, I seek all the members' supports to strengthen our ACCE endeavor to enhance the professional ethics and to have the professional body at its place which it is supposed to be. Now coming back to our today's lecture, we have in addition we have lectures from Dr. Ram Prakash on 5th again and 12th and 19th of September. And also we have special lecture on 15th September on the auspices of this Engineers Day celebrations. And now I hand over the forum to Dr. M. U. Ashwath, sir.
Thank you, Srikanth. I'm very happy to be part of this program, and you have given a brief activities list of Bangalore Center. And as all of us know, Bangalore Center is very active in conducting the activities as per the objectives of the association. And in fact, many working group activities from Bangalore Center initiatives, it is emulated in many other centers. Congratulations to all the members and especially the office leaders of Bangalore Center for taking the objectives forward. And as Srikanth mentioned, some of our major initiatives in the last few months is to protect the interests and rights of civil engineers. A lot of things are happening in various forums and various professional body levels, discussing about the competencies and skills required to practice civil engineering and architectural engineering services. So in this regard, as it was known, NBC 2016 has clearly given the details about the competencies of various consultants. So one of the most important things required for all of us is upgrading our knowledge as and when it is required to handle the latest developments, whether it is in technology, construction technologies, or in material technologies. It is very essential to have the updation of knowledge for all of us. So in this regard, I'm very happy, like Bangalore Center, many other centers are organizing many knowledge dissemination programs during this pandemic COVID-19 season. And in fact, it is ideally suited for this kind of activities where we can reach out to maximum number of people. In fact, some of our programs of Mysore Center and others, they reached simultaneously up to 6,000 members at a time. So physically organizing logistics for such a huge crowd is impossible, I can say. So we are utilizing the situation in a very positive way, and we need to have positive outlook for the construction industry also in the days to come. So with all these learnings during this period, I'm sure all of us will be a little more equipped to handle any such situations in future. And today's topic, the skill set required for project management aspects. I think we have an expert, none other than our own past president and founder member of our own association, and all of us are proud to have him today, Dr. Ram Prakash, CEO and CEO of MSS Design Consultants, Bangalore. And brief about his background, he got his bachelor's degree in civil engineering in the year 1967, PhD from Indian Institute of Science in 1975. He has contributed to the torsion and shear provisions of the Indian standards IS 456 1978 and IS 456 2000 Code of Practice for plain and reinforced concrete. In fact, in the last few years, I can say the revisions of IS codes are happening very quickly, and under the leadership of Sanjay Pant, a lot of things are happening. And I request all the participants and ACCE members to participate in the revision process, and you can also represent from ACCE under the revision process in various codes. As I said, Dr. Ram Prakash is our founder and past president of the ACCE. He was also formerly vice president of Indian Concrete Institute, founder and former chairman of Instruct. So all the major three organizations, ACCE, ICCE, and Instruct, he has contributed to a great extent in the objectives. He was also a former vice chairman and director of Mrs. National Cooperative Bank Limited, a cooperative bank with 3,000 crore turnover and top cooperative bank in Karnataka. So that will give another perspective for all of us. Maybe we can look forward his experience in managing the finances, especially at this time of crisis. What skill sets required to handle our finances effectively in the construction sector. Maybe we can look forward for some tips from Dr. Imran Prakash. He has got practiced as a structural consultant from 73 to 80, practiced as project management consultant from 80 to 90, and as project consultant, practicing as project consultant from 90 to the present. So designed many unconventional large span and tall buildings in India and abroad in steel, concrete and precious concrete. He has been technical and quality auditor and peer reviewer for many projects. That Ram Prakash's name has also appeared in the LIMCA Book of Records in 1994 for the design of 8 meters diameter LAMELLA grid dome structure with high strength tubes, first of its kind then in Asia. Most recently, in 2016, was awarded the Outstanding Concrete Engineer Award of 2016 by the Indian Concrete Institute, Karnataka Center. He is an avid trainer of men and companies and endeavors to give back to future generations what it needs from his and other panoramic experiences. Endeavors is to keep updating industry professionals at lesser periods than at present of national and international developments. So we are very happy to welcome Dr. N. Prakash, CEO and past president and founder member of ACCE for today's program. Thank you very much, sir, for your time and for sharing your experiences in this way. And we have another two major stalwarts in the construction industry. Dr. R. Jagadish is presently the managing director of Consultancy Consultants Private Limited, and he is also the past president of ACCE and past president of Indian Concrete Institute, and he is also chairman of UVCE for a longer time, and guided many students, and all his students are in very high places in various government and non-government organizations in the country. So very happy and welcome Dr. R. Jagadish sir for this. Maybe we can have a discussion at the end or at the beginning as you like. I will leave it to you, the best people to decide. Dr. Manmohan Kalgal is the immediate past president of Indian Concrete Institute. Is the advisor to many of us, and served in Aditya Birla Group at senior management level, technical advisor of Ultratech Cements Limited. And he was also a teacher. Professor Jagdish was also a teacher, and I'm also a teacher. Now very active in the industry. Dr. Kalgal sir, thank you very much for accepting to be on the panel. And you can, Dr. Kalgal and Dr. Jagdish, you can say a few words before we start the actual lecture, and we can go ahead. So with this brief introduction, I welcome RJ to say a few words, and then Dr. Manmohan Kalgal, and then over to Dr. Ram Prakash for his presentation. Thank you very much, and over to you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to participate in these various lectures. This tackling skills issues in project consultancy management and deliverables. Because he is one of our senior most consulting engineers and members of ACCE, and he has done so many projects, well mentioning throughout the country. So in this respect, I would like to, I'm very eager to hear to the lecture, because I heard earlier many lectures, but this lecture seems to be something different from his earlier lectures. And he is sharing all his experiences about design, consultancy, and management and other works. So I'm very happy to be with you all, and I'll be waiting eagerly to listen to him. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jagdish, and Kalgal, say a few words.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be in this forum. The word positive is negative in the situation of COVID, but this positive is welcome. COVID has made people to now assemble at very short notice. A lot many people can attend these webinars, lectures, and learn very fast. So in fact, in the past 3 months, we have had opportunities to learn a lot, and this is one more step in that direction. I'm very happy that the skill set issues have been taken up as the subject for focus, and as very rightly mentioned in the title itself, any project consultancy, the persons who are representing you at site, have to be having that skill set, so that he really translates what's in your mind and what's in your drawings onto the site, or what is in the drawings of the project onto the site. So we have very serious issues of lack of awareness, lack of seriousness. I'm sure in the present scenario, where training people becomes a little more easier online, I'm sure we should be able to handle all these skill set issues, so that the people who represent us at the site are at least up to the mark. So I'm looking forward to this wonderful topic, and I'm thankful to Dr. Ram Prakash for having agreed to talk on this particular subject. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kalgal. In the participants, we have many stalwarts. I will not go to take their names. Welcome all of them, all the participants to this presentation. And now over to Dr. Ram Prakash. Sir, you can now share your screen and go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Ashwath. Good morning to everybody. Very nice to have all of you. And as rightly said by Dr. Kalgal, I think this pandemic has set things differently for all of us. It's not only a question of learning skills, it's a question of sharing skills. So in that regard, I would like to share some of the skill set issues that I've come across in my consultancy, project management, and deliverables. At the outset, I wish to thank ACCE Bangalore Center, more particularly Mr. Rajesh Kannan and Mr. Srikanth Channel. Then Dr. Ashwath, our moderator for today, is also the president of our ACCE. Dr. R. Jagdish, our panelist, with whom I had a lot of dialogues in many situations and projects. And Dr. Kalgal, who else than Kalgal, to keep reminding all of us of skills and upgrading of skills and what have you in the subject. More particularly, I would also like to thank all the beloved participants of this particular webinar, as well as my well-wishers. At the outset, I wish to say that I will not be covering all the design aspects and things like that in this particular presentation. I have just planned 3 more presentations for that, more particularly divided into skills in steel, skills in concrete, precise concrete, and things like that. I have got 3 subjects lined up for future for persons who would wish to have that. In today's topic, the contents would be as shown here: introduction, preamble, skill set deficit case studies for imbibing innovations. Innovation is a great word, provided it can be transcribed onto ground. And for that, we need a lot of skill sets. And only those skill sets give you success. I've covered the subject into some parts. The first one is the shell structures, concrete shell structures. I've got 3 case studies in that. I did, as soon as I did my PhD, the first job I got was a water treatment plant. And we were putting all flat roofs for different treatment plants. Then I said, what am I doing giving designs of this sort? Let me put a shell. And being from IISc and having been grilled enough about shells, and also having seen the book by Professor G.S. Ramaswamy on shells, it looked very simple to do shells. So I said, let me venture out. So the first job I did was, in fact, Alvai, Kerala, for a water treatment plant, where the contractor was not so keen, but he didn't know what is shell. So I told him, we bring the structure onto the springing level of the shell, and I will do the contract on a no profit, no loss basis for the shell. He agreed. And I told him that it would be economical than the flat roof for many reasons. And also being Kerala, formwork was not a big issue. The second one is a BHL in Bangalore, EDN. Again, I did a multiple barrel cylindrical shell. And this time also, I did the feather edge beams. Feather edge beams, I will come to it when we go to it. It is one of the first things that have been done, I believe, because most of the feather edge beams are pre-stressed, if at all done anyway. The second thing is precast funicular shells, which I did for a stored complex where you have a lot of repetition, and you have 8 meters to 9 meters staging requirements for a high bay roof. Then the next one is a north-like conoid shell, which I did for the railway plant in Bangalore. These are the shell structures, and then the steel structures. Of course, the steel structures are one space structure which I did was the lamella dome, then a fan-shaped structure, the Ganapati Sachidanand Ashram, which I did in Mysore, which was an auditorium of 3,000 capacity. Then the powerhouse structure, which I did, the Almatti Dam powerhouse in Bangalore. And I did a pop show structure for Pink Floyd concert stage in Bangalore. And I've done 250 to 350 petro canopies of the Reliance Petrols. And also, of course, other than these, was a Japanese collaboration waste film factory at Ramnagar. So I thought fit to share some of these things. Then coming to the pre-stressed concrete structures, in one of the international schools in Bangalore called Chemistry Academy, I did a large span multi-purpose structure for a sports basement with 6 tennis courts on the deck above. Second one was an industrial heavy-duty production building, where in 3 floors you had 7 turbos of 12 tons each on a hall of, I think, I will get to the details when we come. And the third one is a heavy, all of these had PT slabs. And the third one is an industrial heavy-duty stores complex where we have you have the collapsible 8-meter high heavy-duty racks in a column-free hall. So this is one of the things in which I had some experiences in pre-stress too. Then some international experience I'll share. One is the solar park panel structure. Second one was an outsource company where we were advisors. We had to enlist, train, and supervise project deliveries for a company called Total Outsource from Chicago. They had a Bangalore office, which we were associated with for 9 months from their start. Then the other experiences were in consultancy in Malaysia. We had a double basement flooding up, and then an industrial plant we did in Malaysia. Other than this, also I did some work in US for transmission towers. I also have some subject in the miscellaneous group. One minute, just one. So you can. Sorry. Let's start with the introduction. Innovation is a sustaining connectivity down the ages, but it comes with a tag of achievability. It also entails in-depth state-of-the-art knowledge of skill sets, of men, its sustenance, materials, practical study, achievability, and finally impact. many upstream and downstream issues have to be reckoned with at concept stage itself. It is said very cleverly by Professor Gokak that man ceases to be man when he ceases to be a student. I repeat, man ceases to be a man when he ceases to be a student. And it's said in Reader's Digest quotable quotes very aptly that in the 21st century, to be where you are, you have to keep running. This would be more pertinent to innovations, which not only with respect to the innovator, but also up the chain and down the chain as well. Over the years of practice, one comes across a plethora of absence of requisite skill sets, which the team has to face and fill in for again and again in order to achieve demanding goals. Times are rapidly changing. It's thought fit herewith to throw up experiences for use by posterity. Case studies from the author's consultancy archives are presented to indicate the initiatives to imbibe skill sets at execution levels to help in achieving and imbibing satisfaction of work done. With the advent of renewable energy and smart grids and smart energy and the pertinent energy grids, predicted high-level fail-safe skill sets will be the prerequisite, be it in installation or maintenance. Some countries have put in place mandatory man-hours of skill training per person per year for every organization, corporate or otherwise. The duty of all of us is to make this not of a run-of-the-mill technology, but of innovative technology. The need for integrating all such training across countries and imbibing a healthy interplay and intermingling of technologies and standards is the need of the hour. Now, I'd like to set a preamble for the lecture today. Computers have taken over all domains in projects, in modeling 3D, in sizing sections, in loading stipulations and combinations, in analysis and design, in detailing, in project management, in construction management, in drone supervision, etc. Seeing skill deficits at one time, I wish that all construction, including soil, foundation dictates, was like maybe 3D printing with robots. It's not yet there, but it's getting there, I think. But will it be as human as now and enjoyable, or a product mix of the two, hopefully? Now, the different projects that I've covered, given in this collage, you have the shell structures, you have the funicular shell, conoid shell, and the multiple valve cylindrical shell. You have the space structure and the Almatti Dam powerhouse. You have a large span pre-stressed deck. You have a stores complex here. I mean, this I think is this is a stores complex of Apertex. And this is a Hyundai showroom where I was told that cars would be there in both the floors, first and second floor in Chennai. And this is an example. This is a corporate factory done in Bangalore, Doddaballapur, where we were involved with project consultancy. Now we come to introduction. Innovation is a sustaining connectivity down the edges, but it comes with a tag of achievability. It also entails in-depth state-of-the-art knowledge of skill sets of men, assessments, materials, practical study, achievability, and fun impact. I told you about all of this, so I get on to the various projects. These are the case studies. The first one is the shell roof projects. This was the one I did in 1976 for the treatment plant. So these were something like 8-meter spans. There was a flat roof at 6-meter height for a filter plant. And this is where I said, why should I make such large beams and roof and then put surkey on top or whatever on top? We could make a shell with waterproof plaster, and the roof would be as economical as the flat roof. But here came the, what shall we say, challenge. The challenge was the deep edge beams that a shell roof always asks you for. And for this, I thought, well, I was very much impressed, having read that we could do shells with feather edge beams. You know, if you see the view on the left, you could see that the two shells are integrating into a feather edge. And these edge beams that you see here, all of these, they are not deep beam, they are just feather edge beams. Most cases, this would be pre-stressed. But as you know, in India, once you say you want to go do it in pre-stress, everybody looks at you again and then says, no, that's costly for me. I can't afford it. This was the rule of those days because the pre-stress was being done by somebody else. And those people were a very limited lot. And it was very difficult to convince clients that those will be economic. Then as soon as I started practice, I told you this statement plant came. Then I wanted to change the industry. When I started, I had big thoughts that I should change the industry rather than the industry change me. And I didn't want to go to teaching because I said the technology all around me is not changing for the last 25, 30 years. But we are around here and not doing anything about it. So this is how I started off. And I got a good opportunity as soon as it came out with a complicated thing, thought to be complicated by some people, of a shell room. But I'll tell you the nuances. So as you would know, there is a directrix and there is a generatrix in the shell. So one of the things I had learned well was that the generatrix could be a straight line. You could have straight line generators. So the directrix could be of different configurations. So I said, why not we do that? I mean, that's a great thing. So I took this up. Now the project started. Everybody was very happy with all my presentations that we could do the shell. And I would do the shell. And then it came to the project started off and it was coming to springing level. At that time, the contractor who was a local contractor from Kerala, a very dynamic guy, very simple fellow. Seeing my passion, he turned around and said, "Sir, you don't have to do it. You just show me how to do it. Tell me how to do it, and I will do it for you." So my passion and enthusiasm was also helped by such contractors. The economical costing compared to flat roof was good, and concluded that I did not take the trouble of building the shell, but should guide them on daily basis. Reinforcement was only 2/3 of flat, and concrete was about 85% with waterproof plaster putting the icing for me. You don't need a sulky or don't need the large scale waterproofing. These days you can do form finish. You can have you need not have waterproof. The Kerala carpenters who are famous in woodwork were enthused maximum and carried out the work to the T. As soon as I had prepared detailed centering schedule, detailed concrete schedule. Please, persons who want to try shells should listen carefully. There is need for a centering schedule, there is need for a concreting schedule, and is detailed for a decentering schedule, especially due to the absence of deep edge beams. Now the site engineer, as usual, was not impressed by so much detail. He called up his friend in some other state shell project in Calcutta and got news that all that was for the birds and crab. He said just can do any type of normal centering, normal concreting, and can decenter any which way, nothing would happen. This was a shock to me, and I told I was really shocked. I was wondering what to do. But the workers were following instructions as told by me, it seems. But I was asked by site engineer why all this has to be followed. He said he can't do all this, asked him to quit. He went outside of site. Workers told me they'll do it all for me, even if engineer does not. When I was leaving site that evening, site engineer came running to me to not get him thrown out, etc. I told him he hasn't learned engineering the right way, so he can't be in charge. He pleaded pardon with warning. Centering poles, in Kerala, as you know, most of you will know, centering poles were in bamboo, as in Kerala. When I inspected, I found horizontal to vertical poles were connected by nails, as well done elsewhere for Caserina poles. It was point-to-point contact in hollow sections. It was dicey. So I asked why they can't use coir ropes which are freely available, which the workers did very willingly. The cooperation of the workers in this regard is what I should commend to everybody. With the chief engineer, he seeing all this, not only that he had saved so much steel, he started asking me whether some steel which is left over from a different project could be used here and all that, because he was hardly seeing any steel in the drawings. And he said some 3 to 4 tons of 8 mm and available and all that. I asked a contractor to go and see it and get back to me. Contractor said that much of it is corroded and it's not 8 mm. So I went, and when I went and looked at it. It was all around 6 mm. All the ribs had gone, corroded and all that. But the chief engineer said, no, it is as strong. Then I turned around and told him, sorry, sir, I will use this as 6 mm rather than 8 mm if you want me to use this with lesser spacing. So then he said, why is it required that way? Being an engineer, he thought he can shake me up. I turned around and said, sorry, sir, otherwise we don't use this steel. Immediately he said, okay, sir, please do whatever you feel is right. This is where, it helps to be firm in consultancy. When project was opened, the chief of the organization applauded the innovation, saying it had enhanced the looks as it was on a hillock. So my conclusion is, innovation needs bending of all backs and needs proper skills. You have to bend a lot of backs, and a lot of backs have to bend, and you have to have proper skills. The next project was a multiple barrel cylindrical shell, the same feather edge beams, for BHL ED in Bangalore, where we did the canteen building. Ground floor was the workers' canteen, and the first floor was the executive dining. So I told the authorities, the management, that why should we have a flat roof for the executive dining? And why should we have columns every 6 meters or whatever? We could do with a shell roof with a column-free zone. So 24 meter by 18 meter executive dining hall was proposed to a column-free area. Avoiding deep edge beams and using the values of edge beams was said to be bold and unique among shell design fraternity in Asia, if not also in the world, non-precious studies. Client Messrs. BHL had a director who was a civil engineer and is a very senior person. He said, this is the way to go. Go ahead. But he put conditions. He said, accepted on condition that we furnish 3 contractors who could do the job, which we did, thanks to dynamic, quality conscious and progressive contractors. One of the key factors is to have very dynamic, quality conscious and progressive contractor, in your list as your friends, because you can talk to them and convince them and and once you give the backing that is required, I think they will do what you want. My first bold work after my PhD for a quality conscious corporate client having dynamic management was a fabulous experience. Directrix is part of a circle and generatrix is a straight line. Generator, which is the key to convince the contractors. A big salute to the quality contractor we got for this job. I don't wish to give names because I don't think it's good to give names. So you can see the beauty of this from the back, the portion which is the executive dining. Then I was told that it doubled up as a divided hall having exclusive portion for foreign visitors, which is a salute to all the participants for imbibing the innovation, including the management and the contractor. Then I came, this is one of the things that happens when you are in a complex and you want to change things or put things which are pertinent to the particular complex, is when people start looking at you again and again in different angles. Then came a stores complex with double height. This is 8 to 9 meters high, double height on half the portion, and there is a crane bay here also. So I proposed that this staging is going to be very costly, and the staging at the top, formwork at the top is also going to be costly. So why not we have, and it's 2 floors of building, and it had a low bay also, half of it was low bay, and everything was grid roof. If you make a grid roof and make funicular shells, I said that it would be feasible and economic. Stores complex precast funicular shells, I proposed 1.2 meter by 1.2 meter. 1,200 numbers were required in the complex. The key to precast is the repetition. And this 1,200 was the icing. Then grid beams provided for in situ casting was said to be costing only 50%, or saving 50% in the costing of the centering. Then the funicular shells cast in masonry molds, thickness was from 25 to 35 mm, and I proposed 25, and everybody started saying that please make it 35. When I said 25 to 35, everybody wants to play safe. So they said, please make it 35. I said, fine, we'll make it 35. One of the tenderers was the smartest contractor and knew about funicular shells, hence even he quoted me, and hence when he quoted for it, he quoted at 60% of our costing for the shell, which was shocked. I then thought, I have not known this contractor so well, I thought he had made a mistake and he's going to change it. And when I called him for the negotiation and we were talking, other people had quoted twice what we had, 1.5 times to twice what we had estimated. But this gentleman had quoted at 60% or less. And then when I asked him, he said, I know about funicular shells. That I've seen in SERC. Dr. Parameshwaran, had this thing demonstration, and I've seen it. I know what it is and this and that. And I said, oh my God, this is very impressive. But the management said, what about testing? How do we know how strong it is? Then I said, shell test can be made. And then it was made mandatory in the order. And it showed no failure even at 450% loading. Can you believe that? Okay, I'll come to that. I'll show you in the next slide. Resulting overall saving in whole complex was said to be 11%. In the public sector undertakings magazine, this was applauded as one of the projects which saved 17% in the whole project. It's not only because of us, it's because of all the things that I've told you till now. It was possible, one of the BHL directors also. You can see the centering, you can see the funicular shells there with all the hooks, lifting hooks and things like that. Notice the ease of transporting and placing of precast funicular shells and the strict centering for the beams. Ease resulted due to trained and sharp contractors. Others quoted double the price. Funicular shell is an Indian invention. It's an invention. Inverted two-way catenary results in complete body of shell being in compression, demonstrated in a seminar in SARC Chennai. Sharp contractors elicit innovations, consultants happy, clients happy, awards attractive. This is the plan layout of the shells with the grid beams. There you are. That's the test we did. And me and my assistants were looking below while during the test in the beginning to see when we will get the first crack. But all the people, engineers who were involved and all the people, including the contractors, engineers, were all 100 feet away because they were afraid it would fall on their head. And all want confirmations. This from the test. Most were studying, we were below trying to look for the cracking. No failure at even 450%. I stopped the thing and said the masonry supporting would have failed, not the shell. The consultants got inquiries for imbibing F shell in their projects after this. Next, we come on to the conoidal shell. It's a North Light Stores complex with 5-meter cantilever loading. There are 5-meter cantilever on both sides, unloading bays on both sides. One in national tender along leading lights, where one is spread crosswise. When you are in a national tender, in negotiation and discussion, you get fried up, things like that. So, although 1.1, we were L1 in the tender, we faced extreme heat by their existing multinational consultants who are L2, even saying we know nothing of shells, and that they had done similar building already in the same complex. We have fixed on steel tonnage in our design. When we committed 52 tons, most cases I do the preliminary design like a final design in the beginning itself, so that you get the confidence of all the factors, including the costing and the consumptions. When we committed 52 tons of steel in the design, the L2 consultants found they had used 85 tons of steel in similar existing facility. We were made to commit use of not more than 52 tons of steel, and to foot requirement is more. These are the insults that you face when you do all sorts of innovations. We were told we had to commit in contract. Then we as everybody knows, it's easy to execute with straight line generators, the CONOIDAL also. And shell edge beam had 5-meter overhang at bottom of edge beams. Here came the challenge, because it had to be peer reviewed. And who else than Professor K. Chandrasekhara and Anant Ramu from IISc and Professor Raghuprasad? They were the team I went to. And Professor Chandrasekhara is the man who taught me shells. So when they were peer reviewing, Anant Ramu gave me read the finite element analysis. He gave it a green signal very quickly. And then Professor Chandrasekhara said, oh, the edge beam has 5-meter cantilevers, and there will be penetration of edge effects to the shell. And here I was facing my own teacher and having to convince him. Then suddenly it occurred to me that I had done the finite element analysis, including the cantilever. So I told Professor Chandrasekhara that we have done a finite element analysis, and that has been accepted. And it included the 5-meter shell, the effect of that, and things like that. And then I said, if there is any penetration, why not we thicken the edge in the ends so that the penetration won't penetrate the body of the shell? He just turned around to me and he said, somehow you'll try to convince by doing something. And here I was with my own teacher. I said, sir, that's the way to do it, why not? Then we finished the building in 52 tons of steel. In fact, we consumed only 49, but I put 3 tons more where it would be critical. And to show the nation, if nobody else had saved 33 tons of steel. Okay, there you see the north light of the conoid. Beautiful looks also. Key takeaways of skills for shell profounders and technologists. To have full knowledge of various types of shells, cylindrical, conoid, funicular, hyperbolic, paraboloid, can be very nearly I did a hyperbolic paraboloid shell roof on 2 columns for a church. It got shell because of cement problem. Nuances in each. Geometry should be simple and practically easily executable and acceptable to the existing industry levels, nationally and or internationally. Analysis. Maybe 200% knowledge as efficiency of delivery, maybe 50% in analysis. Now that I had done with finite element analysis and I had people who knew what you were doing and it was peer reviewed, the confidence is what you get. In design, you have to have simplicity of detailing, ruggedity, articulate detailing, and using market supplies. What is available in the market. In construction, you have formwork achievability and economical deliverables. In scheduling, Formwork detailing for economy and sequence release and concreting. International approaches and achievements imbibing national flavors in technology. Confidence creation in team and client and test to accentuate it. Scouting around achievements and dreaming innovations in them, if not also, when possible, applauding the teams that did it. Key example for me and an inspiration was and is the Baha'i Temple in Delhi and the Infosys shell in Bangalore. Next, we go on to the steel structures. This is a space structure, 88-meter diameter LAMELLA dome, double-layer grid space structure, which had an opening for a conveyor gallery of some 50 meters span. And so, as everybody knows, any puncture in any roof is a big ask. It was proposed to have 88-meter dome structure with central rise of 13.5 meter, etc. Roof is designed as double-layer grid. All the members are designed as truss members with top and bottom parts having 1.5 meter at the apex. The circular compression member is in plates is put. All the joints are there. Joints is one of the issues here. When we took the patented joints which are there for the shells, we found that the cost, this was about 60 lakh in those days, 60 lakh space structure, and the joints would have costed 13 lakhs, which was not acceptable to all in sundry. Then we developed a joint which was made of plate, detailed to join all top and bottom part members spatially. You imagine the 3D work that we had to do for all of that. Sorry. All the spring level hinges. Sorry. At the springing level, hinges with pin rods are provided. Roof sheeting was of galvanized corrugated sheets. That the client was very happy about, because he said, if I disband this building, I can sell the galvanized sheets for the same cost or more. So these are things that you come across in life and your practice, which will tell you that each person has his own, what shall we say, attitude for any of these things. Skill aspects planned, nationally team sourcing, inducing and convincing, economic costing. This is game and skill plan. An approach planning to convince. This using nationally available materials and technology, firefighting, all encountered day-to-day models, achieving these are the different skill aspects. Pardon? Pardon? German design was given to me to get executed here. It was a radiating tone type design of Humboldt, which used about 450 tons of steel. Our alternative Indian design we did this LAMELLA grid immediately and said, why not we get a chance? We'll be given a chance. And it said that the steel could be around 300 to 350 tons only, saving around 100 tons of steel. We were asked to convince all, which was done, and were told to get at least 2 tenderers for the job, got 2 and finalized 1. We finished in 9 months using only 240 tons of steel, 240 tons instead of 450, saving nearly 210 tons German design. Used YST 38 steel tubes manufactured by Nagarjuna coated tubes at that time. After this, we were asked by Humboldt if we could do flats, if we could do this space structures in Australia and Yemen. And this was very much liked by Professor McCoskey, who had come here for a IAS seminar, who wanted to see this particular space structure. So we had taken him there. Innovation taglines, first of its kind in Asia, the 3-dimensional analysis and design, opening in roof is a factor. Construction was planned to be done in quarter segments with necessity of support system at nodes of only 1 ring at a time. We went, instead of going radial, we went circular. We had derricks to support on a circular configuration, which was very much acceptable to the contractors too and easy. And high strength tubes were used for the first time in India for such a large span, resulted in most economical structure, etc. Some more aspects are here. Tolerances in millimeter. When we finished the last dome, I checked what was the accuracy. The ovality was only 20 mm from 88 meters to 6 meter. You can imagine how the tolerances are. Connectivity, single joint, project releasing, sequencing, etc. The important thing is the care to be taken at openings, if any. And the other aspect is the coating at all the weld levels, after all the weldings with the zinc-rich epoxies and what have you. Next was the fan-shaped auditorium in Mysore called Ganapati Sachidananda Ashrama, which was a 3,000 capacity auditorium. If you see the plan here, you can see the plan here with a semicircular 60 feet semicircular stage, and this is the column-free zone. This is the back zone. This is for a Swamiji who cures by music. So this was unknown to me, this Swamiji. When I went there, he said, we need you. So I said, this is a pleasure. It tapers from 75 meters to 25 meters. Springing level of columns are 12 meters. Front 2/3 of area column free. Has video gallery hung in roof for video capture. You can see this video gallery from here. Use devotees of ashram for the construction with their skill deficiencies, like local wanting to meddle with the designs and technology, which was not entertained. We had a lot of embarrassment when senior people who have retired and come to the ashram wanted to tell us this, oh, you should design this way, you should design that way, and things of the kind. And we never got perturbed. We imbibed twin 30 centimeter diameter columns to avoid long columns. So long column effect, because of the 12 meters, would be there to make it anatomical. So we imbibed two 30 centimeter columns and use curing compounds for curing, because I'm very sure these fellows for this high column, they may not cure so effectively. Strict tests, including of welds in fabrication and load tests done through local engineering college faculty. I asked one of the local professors, engineering faculty professor, whether he will do a load test thing for me. And I told the contractor will do all the aspects, but you have to oversee this. And he did. But I found a lot of bloomers in his thoughts on how to load, where to load. Oh, this can't be loaded, that can't be loaded, this cannot be done here, that cannot be done here. A lot of things like that. And I had to take personal, sort of, what should I say, energy to get it done. The Swamiji, of course, insisted on 100% compliance, which was what I wanted. You can see the plan taken from an aircraft of the fan-shaped auditorium. And then we did the Almatti Dam powerhouse. The powerhouse which you can see here next to the dam. So this was done by us. This is with about 5,800 tons of fabrication steel. This was a big challenge. The aspects are it's a person's location, client, etc. Entire scope of work was entire construction of civil and structural work to accommodate 6 generating units. In addition, the civil and structural works of switchyard was also included as part of turnkey construction of powerhouse. Finally, the finished powerhouse, which you see, notice all the columns and roof and things like that. Okay, salient feature of design: no generator floor in machine hall, space provision for assembly of 2 units in service bay, control room located below tail race. Some of the details that get into such a thing. Structural steel components were fabricated outside powerhouse as a parallel activity when substructure works were in progress to enable speedy construction. The skill issues. Project was for 24 months completion, including design checking. Highly optimized design and detailing was carried out. 3D analysis in 25 days complete by us. For 15 days, clients' first checkers dilly-dallied with flimsy reasons in weekly meetings. When pointed out, a very knowledgeable and dynamic executive director realized the situation and handed over checking to a leading consultancy company. Here we found that we were surprised that the leading group was saying they do all these in 2D only, whereas we had done in 3D. And I was saying, how could you do seismic in 2D? You have to take it into different components and then do that. Why do you do such a thing? I used to do 3D right from day one in 1975. I used to think everything is 3D only, nothing is 2D. Finally, matters were moved forward. We were told our built-up sections in place were too costly, and they do with rolls, and they had done with rolled sections. We asked for the sections for such a powerhouse already built, which could be checked for in our software and panelists. When our software showed it is unsafe, they accepted our sections quietly. Some of the allowable deflection of columns, as people know, as per code, was discussed. They interfered by saying they will follow only European code, they will follow Indian code. Then we said, what is the European code? Okay, what is the European code which you follow? And things like that. Our issues were settled thereon one by one. And it took a lot of beating. You need a lot of patience and a lot of perseverance to get over many of these things. When we came to the space structure for the roof, we were told that a Japanese design was done by them recently. We said we'd check it out. When we went there, we found only the sheeting was with Japanese collaboration or something of that kind, which was surprising to us. We said, next, we were told only arch roofs would be acceptable to all. We were aghast as there would be additional kick-on column resulting in additional deflection of column at crane level. They stuck to their guns, and so we resolved it by putting a tension cord for the kick to be neutralized, which could be suspended from the arch. This was accepted. When we interviewed 4 fabrication groups for the execution, first 3 of them were adamant that it could not be completed in 24 months, but 36 months only, as it was plated sections. They had not done much work in built-up sections, it seems. Even weld test, they said they could do only for 30 or 40% of welds. The 4th agency, see the turn of events. 4th agency showed no change of expression for all above conditions, saying he has done plated sections recently, etc. too, and said he'd check whatever percentage weld we needed, which was like, as though God has landed on our midst. We were relieved this agency did work to the T and even made ready in record 19 months an indication of skilled workmanship and management. Hats off to these such people. Then we had a space structure. It's a quick, unconventional space structure for a pop show stage, 50 feet by 100 feet by 50 feet high roof in Bangalore. Wanting to be done in 25 days. And the whole structure on ground is ready to be lifted. What we planned, we accepted. We said we'll do it in 25 days. All the people were shocked that because most of the people had said 60 days, and we were only the ones who said we'll do it in 25 days. Whole structure was made ready as a space structure on ground, ready to be lifted to its position 50 feet high, using 2 cranes having 50 feet high and having 50 feet high 4 columns hinged, ready to move on trolley to vertical position with mass concrete for foundations to each column. Sorry. You can see the views. You can see the 2 cranes they used on the 2 sides to lift the space structure. You can see the space structure put up on ground with all the sheeting and things like that. It's the fabric sheeting. Okay. Then you see this. You can see some of the. Then this comes to lifting. Space structure, roof and column being lifted. Ground complete fabrication on ground, including fabric cutting Cover curtain rolled up to cover in 3 sides of stage, which, by the way, was 10 feet high. The stage was 10 feet high. Okay, what are we talking about skill sets? Okay, let's come down to how the issues came about. Somebody from NDI for whom we had designed earlier solar bus shelters, etc., told my client I am the one to source if he wanted to put up the stage in 30 days. Most others asked for 60 days. We picked it up, got a vibrant fabricator, did design and drawing in 3 days, went to a crane agency, were told they had 40 years experience in crane lifting. Son seemed to have just taken on from father, was quietly sitting next to him, told 2 cranes, one of 60 feet and another 80 feet was available, finalized deal and started logistics. We laid the plan to do space structure all on ground and lift it up. We then planned to hinge the column 2 to the space structure and lift with it, putting end of columns on rollers. With at least 4 workstations to monitor the 4 corners, X, Y, Z, all during the lifting. We decided to do large box excavation for mass concrete footing for the column using RMC once structure is up in place. Also a rolled fabric cover, etc. First bloomer was that fabricator had put only 3 bolts instead of 4 bolts in connections. He's trying to save bolts. This is what you have to watch out for. Stage was at 50 feet in one side and 55 feet on the back side. Just 5 days before D-Day, all fabrication was said to be ready with cranes in place for our inspection. Second bloomer was the cranes had been installed reversely, 80 feet boom on front side of 50 feet and 60 feet boom on 55 feet backside. This was a shock to us, and we asked the crane guy to change his mistake, which he refused. There was no use of all of his 40 years experience here. He couldn't understand that the undersling would depart bending on end beams in 55 feet side. I relented clearance. Pop show inspection guys came and said the same thing I had said without knowing my observations. Both fabricator and crane guy had to relent and do as told. Now the total station guys were reduced to 2 on each side instead of 4. This was bad as constant monitoring every 5 feet during movement cannot be recorded on instruments continuously. If it was only 2, we had to give in badly. Next, we checked the quantity of guy wires, 2 for each corner to tie down the structure while concrete cures. Fabricator said he had enough and more lengths to settle on one day. Before launch, he had only 1 guy each for only 3 corners. Crisis again. Then we asked to use coil ropes at least also while he brought the wires. I would say this is Namkavaste work done. This is the way the execution is. He said that I have enough wire ropes to go around the world and things like that. People talk like that. But he didn't have for even 3 corners. It was then the Pink Floyd pop group, who were also architects, which is a group in USA. They came and saw all this and they said, sir, we should have had the whole erection as a show, also with tickets. As it is unique work, we would have had a full house. He said. That was the compliment enough for us. But we didn't get any bonus or appreciation of our groups because of a strict demeanor. Only we know what we went through. Wasn't worth it financially except for mission accomplished. Then we have done about 350 Reliance petrol pumps installed in various places in India. This was one on an all India order among 11 tenderers. International tender and specifications, only agency among all to have done all designs in 3D to strict deformation control, which intrigued us very much that people are still doing 2D. Experience excellent with respect to our innovative and design skills. No fabrication, welding or modification allowed at site, all to be done in fabrication shop. Felt very much down our street with respect to form, design, quality, etc. You can see the canopies. There were 3 support, 4 support, 2 support, different types, all from all over India. Then we had some miscellaneous steel constructions. I'm not sure how I'm doing. Am I okay? Am I okay on time? No? Dr. Ashok's not there. Hello, can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I doing okay on time?
Sir, we have another 15 minutes.
Okay, I'll rush through.
Yeah.
In a large waste silk factory with Japanese collaboration, Ramnagar, extensive use of open web designs for economy were more appreciated by the Japanese than many of our Indian collaborators, which was very embarrassing. In fact, Indians goofed up more money in procurement. Then we installed a fast-track newspaper printing factory in Bangalore for our Times of India in 60 days flat, complete in the 90s, which was landmark those days. It was due to a dynamic contractor associate. Accolades like this egg you on towards innovations day in and day out. Then we come to precious concrete structures. So bottom view of a large span precious tension beam and slab of sports complex, having tennis courts at top for an international school. This is Skillset Academy. Change demanding large spans, imbibing advanced material technology, handling the challenging, etc. Larger braced stagings result. High performance concrete manufacture, handling, placement, scheduling, etc. Releasing formwork precisely, ensuring full of error-free, reliable grouting, etc. The synopsis of design: post-tension slab, it's a PT beams, flared at ends to accommodate anchorages. In the figure, you can see the swimming pool below, which will tell you about the massivity of this particular basement. And tennis court deck above. 6 tennis courts on 6 tennis courts on pre-stressed deck. Innovative tagline: large span, fiber reinforced concrete. I used fiber reinforced concrete for the slab because this was an exposed slab to weathering conditions, and it was more for a tennis court. So which was one of the things which I had put in here. Has been built useful to develop as column-free congregation area during assembly requirements. 5 foundations were imbibed to reduce unequal settlement problems. It is said to be first of its kind among many surrounding states. Okay, we'll come to the skill deficits in precious concrete. Very few persons involved during stressing, what we see. Sequence of pressing only in the drawings was noticed. Mechanic was caught stressing around the periphery in a circular movement, taking lunch breaks, other breaks or end of day, left to chance during stressing. Very few persons trained for all these work left to uneducated mechanics without appertinent supervisors spying on their work continuously. They don't have practice of recording actions with respect to time, stressing, value, etc. And pre-stress is a fab system. In fact, when I did work on torsion in the Institute of Science, I got in saying I want to do on pre-stress in combined bending and torsion. But I had to change things in the reinforced concrete before I went to precious concrete because I found the reinforced concrete design needed change. Now, in pre-stress, there's also too much of interference and supervision. Too much of interference and supervision is need of the hour with independent companies overseeing the stressing, the systematic grouting and recording, etc. It is calamity if you just go pre-stressing around rather than with any sequencing. And just preparing a drawing and issuing it to site is not enough. Many of our pre-stress people have to be told that that is not acceptable. Then we come to a heavy-duty stores, which I told you about 8 meters high and all that, made optimized economical design, etc. Strongly suggested pile foundations, but was vetoed as is a taboo by many in fraternity. When I mean many, it may be even 90% of fraternity, that it's costly and should be avoided. Net result, 6 months project got delayed by 2 months as a maze of service cables crisscrossed the area and no shutdowns were given so easily. Whatever, we had to put a raft. Suggested PT slabs which reduce complications of heavy stage centering. A surprise when the project manager of the A-class contractor, who was his quality manager in the first go of meetings, he said he is all in all their projects, which resulted in protracted quality issues in concrete mixes, reinforcement choices, etc. Then we had a production building, the same complex Apotex, PT slab, lacks concrete and reinforcement issues. Building had column-free production hall in 3 upper floors, hall size 20 meter by 15 meter column-free. Loading among others was 7 turbos 12 tons each on every floor. Said to be top contractor chosen was lax in quality planning and execution. One had to pull them most often. The PMCs for this job also were not efficient to help us out in a big way. They were sending proper minutes and things of the kind. They were good supervisors, but I mean, I don't want to use the word meek, maybe a very strong word, but they were quite docile. Finally, in PT slab of first floor, M35 concrete stipulated gave a result of only 33.2 and 33.8, in spite of his sourcing RMC from old-time branded company. I don't want to name it, but it's one of the oldest branded companies, which was pointed out as not acceptable as per IS. Requested next slabs to be sourced as M40, wanted to continue with same company, and that it would be advisable that some cement or epoxy grouting needed for the cast slab, which he consented, and said he'd get NDT test and prove its strength. Suggested that cement grouting was a must as it was PT slab and in anchorage zone demand would be large even if it passed the NDT test. The NDT groups got 33.8 as the strength of the concrete, but they applied this 85% criteria and gave a report. The leading group, they gave a report. This is reasonably M35 concrete, which was a shock to me because most of us are all used to very high quality for pistons or if not for reinforced concrete or any project. And we never would accept things of this kind. You won't design for 35 and write 40 in the drawing. I never do that. So it was a sad tale of RMC companies setting out concretes shouldn't be as per BIS at their gate itself, which was a sad thing. I don't want to say what the clients did after because the clients were constrained because it's an MNC. They had to finish the thing in 6 months. There was no chance of delaying the project. And if it was a retender, if the contractor was thrown out, they would lose in months. So we had all those pressures on us. Then I did a Hyundai commercial showroom with post-in slab and beam system, support car showroom in first and second floor. All the 3 pile contractors interviewed here, interestingly, in Chennai, mentioned that they are all using 53 grade OP cement for piles in all projects in waterlogged Chennai city, brackish maybe, where water was in 3-meter levels instead of PPC, which surprised me. I insisted on PPC, and the contractors who were 3 number disappeared. 2 of them disappeared. Only one stayed back to do what we wanted. Which is a sad tale for all that's going on around us. Then some company offered us free quality testing services if I use same brand of cement for the whole project. I don't keep changing cements or steel or any of those. I fix one in the beginning and use it till the end. And when the companies tell you that they give you quality testing services, this is a boon for all of us. So I accepted one particular company. They gave but I found the services were very lax. M30 columns had given M18 in Q, which was not reported or heeded, resulting in our rehabilitating one lift of all the columns cast that day. It's a sad tale for all of us. If we can't do work well, I don't think we should be in the industry. We should be far away. Translation of newer ideas in concrete making materials is going very far. I observe on real-time feedbacks. They're all only saying things in the seminars and now maybe webinars. And the last mile connectivity is just the same. It is not what it was. Things are improving anyway. I am not a pessimist, but we have to shout from the top of the roof on all these aspects. Then we had the experience of international projects. It was a solar project in Rajasthan. Every design has to be critically viewed. Need for aerodynamics, vortex action was left out in a solar park in Rajasthan, where wind and sandstorms are rampant. So we pointed this out to the German company which was doing it. Strutters would release the panel from its tethers, which was pointed out, resulting in reevaluation by them of the sections. But they refused the idea of strutting by us for reasons unknown, maybe prestige issue. more economical results could have resulted. Then we were part of an outsourced company which asked us to enlist people, train people, and supervise the project delivered. It's a Chicago total outsourced company. I put together a team of 3 experts, including me. It was the most enjoyable interplay with international similarly employed team, ending up applauding our performances, even our being called the best among all teams of the company in different countries. These are things that buoy you up to do things well. And then came the consultancy in Malaysia, where there was a multi-story commercial building which had double basements, and the basement would be flooded fully, both the basements, and the building couldn't be opened. Somebody knew me who was in India, and he had gone to Malaysia, and he said, "This man will show us the way." I was surprised that they called me for such a thing. The architects for the job were from Australia or something. 2-3 people had come, and they said, "Put so many pumps, pump it out. You need 4 pumps, you need 3 pumps, you need to do this, do that," and things like that. When I went there, I just asked them, "Okay, let's go to the site." And surprising thing was that the company was a very big company of Malaysia, which were my clients, and the chairman or the CEO was a lady, and she would come to me to the site and listen to everything that I said, and look at all the people and say, implement them. And that was a very surprising thing to me. And then I found out that they had built this building right in the midst of a river which was existing very long back. So the net result is that there is sand below and there is water flowing below. The river is not there above. It's all been eaten up by all buildings. But this building wouldn't stand any of that because it had double basement. So all I said was train the water away from the building where it's coming, find out which is the upstream and which is downstream, and do that. And they really thanked me. They said, "Why didn't we think of this?" and things like that. The thing is, each place you have got to see carefully, and then use all your talent and things like that. Then an industrial plant in Malaysia, I said the soil test has to be done. And when the soil test reports came, I was surprised that the bores were 30 meters deep. They had given a soil report in the whole area, and they had gone to 30 meters depth, which I don't think we go in India itself. So I didn't need to go to Malaysia or do anything. Did everything here, literally. And then came this transmission towers in USA. Okay, I was told that I could keep designing transmission towers in USA and things like that. Funny thing in USA is that when a transmission tower line goes through different states, each state has got a different code. They have got their own wisdom. Thank God India doesn't have 23 wise people, in 23 states. US is funny in this. Anyway, when I did the designs, I said, "Give me a mock-up trial for 30 days. Give me 2 or 4 towers to design. I will check what has been done, and then continue after 1 month after the mock-up." Then I found 2 of the transmission towers which were designed by them, by somebody else, was faulty. It was not safe. Then I asked him, "Who's peer reviewing all this there?" They have never heard of the word peer review in America. They know only one thing. Then very, very strongly that a client of mine told me that they see whether the engineer has signed the drawing or not. They check for the drawing signature only. No peer review or anything goes on in the place. I said, "Thank you very much. I am not coming to your place." And okay, to finish off quickly, I'll just give an experience of the project consultancy. We do project consultancy, and we want to create everything very nice, better than others, and this and that, and then be happy. It happened in a corporate building. It can happen with anybody these days, including with corporates who are surprising that it could happen with corporates. Project was 6 facility of theirs. They built 5 more. politely wanted to replicate one of their facilities, maybe nearest, which was in Hyderabad. Politely I said, we don't replicate. And I was taken to Hyderabad, shocked to see that the job was given on a cost per square foot basis, and it had in some places in foundation boards in only 3 instead of 4. And many spans, sag rods to purlins didn't exist. And footings were just 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter, or really 75 feet by 125 feet span shed. Fortunately, chairman of this particular corporate company recognized the issues thrown up by me and asked us to go ahead as suitable for their need. First, there was a fall of 4 to 5 meters in ground, which was not noticed by people who had planned for this factory. They wanted it to be done. So basement was suggested in one of the portion. Soil strata was only in front 1/3 and with rock outcrop behind. Falling outcrop, which was taken into reckoning for differential settlement and things like that, with all the soil geotechnical people. Successfully executed a modern facility with state-of-the-art firefighting facility, which, as per the chairman's address in the inaugural, it was of international standards and quality, which is an accolade, which we all keep waiting for. When it comes, we get satisfied for our approach. But they got many corporate orders after facility was shown. It follows with all that. Hope the dissenters in the groups have learned something called state-of-the-art in everything. Okay, then I think we're just getting into some. This was what was planned in one of the Bangalore railway plants, that they wanted 2 water tanks. One water tank was existing, one water tank had to be done by us. So we did this water tank, but we had a lot of skill issues. So I'll just run through this. Oh yeah, this is one of the last projects. Instead of formwork from ground level, we suggested a steel ring. This is 45 meter staging. As you can see, it's a very tall water tank. We suggested a steel ring with outriggers to be provided at top tank bottom level to facilitate a working platform and staging for the conical tank casting. Very reputed contractor family down the ages was given the idea. He boasted of being from Kerala and they were contractors from 3 generations, knew everything of formwork. His chief engineer costed it as giving 2 lakh saving in a 19 lakh contract by this method. That really was the fillip. Then RDSO was convinced by design by us. We were told it would be first of its kind adopted, which they were also happy about. Form contractor said our idea was most suitable and adopted. There are a lot of people who said do this, do that, do this way, do that way. There are a lot of people who do that. Then the railway plant committee asked us to remove a condition that the old tank be checked, the old tank which is next door, we checked whether it would be safe aerodynamics. They told us, where is aerodynamics here? This is exactly what the words they used. Where does aerodynamics come here? Then I told them of chimney stipulation of 1 height distance for non-interference. And a mechanical engineer turned around and said, chimney is different, water tank is different. Then I said, do you know vibration? He said, what? I turned around and said, this is a stick, and that is a lumped mass system. And this is only chimney is only a stick. This is a lumped mass. It is more critical. Critical that everybody looked at each other's face and they said, I think we better accept this fellow. Then told of chimney stipulation of 1 height distance for non-interference. I went to SARC to contacted them to find out whether they know whether there is any stipulation for water tanks of this kind. SARC said they have not heard of research of this. So we were wanting to follow only at least the chimney code so that the old tank would not fail. So 1 height was there. Then were accused of unnecessary complication, even saying we may not be good at overhead tanks. Competitor company asked to add 1 height pipeline, making cost on our tender to get us to L2, thereon and become L1. Referred issue to SARC also. Even with pipeline cost, we were L1, and we did the job after protracted drilling by 2 or 3 committees. mission was achieved in full. All bigwigs came from different connected organizations, came and took photos and publicized it, maybe as their innovation. God save them. And come to the last few slides. This is the conclusion. Advice to entrant engineers: go to level of problem, not bring it down to your level. Libraries and peers help. Just to understand the level of the problem and go to. For propounders, form teams from different parametric persons, integrate, lead them, manage them, let everyone, big or small, think and contribute, applaud them. To contractors, be abreast of technologies coming up or likely to come up, keep attending and letting your engineers parallel domain presentations and workshops. I thought I heard one Mr. Rudresh talking about this. Not only you specialize in something, you may be a homework man, but it doesn't mean you should know something about design or something about that. Mr. Rudresh talk was very good on this aspect. It is very, very impressive. And he was saying that parallel domains, whether they are your domain or not, is one of the things that you should keep following and listening to. Last mile connectivity needs base level worker supervisor training. This is one of the things, because when the fabricators came, the fabricator is a street in Ramnagaram. The fellow was a street side fellow who was doing, the stoves, building stoves. The fellow was brought by the client as a fabricator. Then he brought somebody who's got experience, who's his relative from somewhere, and then we could do the job. So when the truss was bent, he was putting bidaxed and trying to thrust it to straight position, which was a shock and gave him a mouthful. Get accolades, if not awards, and stand out to your kith and kin by doing what you're supposed to do. Get periodical technical magazines to your office. This is one of the key factors, because when I was Vice President ICI, I told all the contractors, if you are an ICA member, come to my office, otherwise don't. Because you get that magazine, ICA magazine at least, otherwise they don't see anything technical, they're looking at only commercial. Develop library of latest entrant books and manuals. It's a very important thing. Collection of books and the latest entrant books, not the old books. People have what they studied in engineering and then think that they know everything. Help fraternity by your experiences too, which is one of the things that I'm trying to do in this. Now we come to a quote which I heard. It says, for a person of confidence, all roads lead to success. And for a person of hard work, success follows him. So this is one of the great things that I think we should follow. So I would say happy innovating to the shakers and movers. I have some acknowledgements to the multitude of teachers of mine from kindergarten to IISc, culminating into Professor KTS Sayangar. It's a big help to me. To my multitude of employees, men and women, who are part of this, my journey, including unflinching participation. To the multitude of fraternity, bigwigs, friends, and construction professionals who egg me on to move with them. To all the family and extended family members for their forbearance and understanding. To the society at large and the great institutions like ACCE, ICI, Instruct, SERC, SEWC, and the like. I think I'm through. Is it not working? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation in 1.5 hours. And I just, before calling the panelists, there were 2 questions from Mr. A.N. Prakash. I think you will try to address that. He is asking, what is the difference between project consultancy management and project management consultancy?
Project consultancy management. Okay. Consultancy can be in different parts. For example, you might get project consultancy management is when you get something out of the ordinary. For example, you get a different type of factory. You get, for example, I was doing a factory which is project consultancy, which was with the Chinese collaboration. And this one was with Japanese collaboration. It's a different experience. And when the Japanese came, They are asking in my master plan, where is the guest house? They are not asking about the factory. I asked, why are you asking guest house? It will come later. They said, no, we want the guest house first, the factory afterwards. You know, so you have to manage all this. So the client was saying, what, sir, why do you accept it and things like that, which is surprising. So project consultancy management involves all those aspects where you deal with different issues of that kind. Whereas project management consulting is really managing the situation in the particular project. Okay.
Yeah, there's another question from same person, Mr. N. Prakash. Whenever such unique and special structures are to be executed, it is understandable all the engineers are not exposed to such structures. Would it not be prudent to have an alignment meeting and explain to all the stakeholders what is expected out of them and the nuances of the project?
Sir, you asked a very good question. I'll tell you what happened. When this high-level water tank came up, and this contractor was a Department of Space contractor, very, very smart, very nice, very quality conscious, and things like that, who came to me. Then I told him the formwork, the change in the formwork from from supporting from bottom to outriggers at the top and things like that. And then he said, my grandfather was a contractor, my father was a contractor, and I'm from Kerala, and I know formwork and this and that. It was difficult for me. Then I turned around and said, okay, if you want to do the usual way, do it. But this may be more economical. And then when the chief engineer costed it, he costed 2 lakhs less. And then I told him, if you want to know about what is current formwork, you must attend workshops. Then who is conducting workshops, he said. A fellow who's a very dynamic, sincere guy. Then I told him, go to Instruct, because next week there is a formwork workshop being held by Instruct. Why don't you attend that? Would you believe what he did? It's a hats off salute to such people. He and his chief engineer registered for that workshop, went to formwork, sat like students, learnt everything about formwork and came back. And when they came back, they were enlightened. They said, if you are going to save 2 lakhs on a 19 lakh contract, we are on for whatever you say. So you see, it's a lot of things keep coming up, which you have to deal with. And your personality should be able to recognize that and solve them one by one. Okay?
Thank you, sir. I will now go to the panelists. I will request Dr. R. Jagadish to say some few words about this presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kanan. The presentation was fantastic, sharing his all vast experience in different fields of civil engineering, starting from shells to steel structures, and then to precious concrete structures and other special structures. For this presentation, he has clearly mentioned and demonstrated that every type of structure is different, and each structure needs a different type of skill. And every person who is involved in that particular project has to have skills of different magnitude. Starting from the consultant, the consulting engineer, to discuss with the client, to understand what actually he wants. That itself is a skill. Normally, we fail there itself. We don't try to listen to what the client says. That is a very big skill which everybody has to have in their proficiency. You have to try to understand what the client wants. Then only you can go to a project, better design, etc. So our civil engineering needs all types of, at all levels, all skills that you can think of. So as I mentioned, listening to the client, interacting with the architects, both the architects and the client will not be going together. The architect wants something, and structural engineer says he cannot do that. So convincing each other is also a skill. So participation at every level is skill. To understand the laborers, understand the site engineers, understand the project itself, that itself is a skill. In other words, to say, the civil engineer needs a lot of skills at every level, starting from zero to the finishing of the structure. Needs all sorts of skills about which I request our ACCE to have the skill development center, or in other words to say, the finishing schools I have been talking about almost every time whenever I get an opportunity. With that, we can also concentrate more and more on the skill development technology itself at different fields. As you can see, there are so many projects, so many different types, and each needs the separate skill, design skill, construction skill, supervisory skill, everything. So I think ACCE should think about it and start deeply think to start a finishing school where skill development can be a major subject. In addition to personality development, as Mr. Rudresh has given a wonderful talk, that also could be a part of finishing school, personality development, skill development, in addition to professional development. These three aspects have to be concentrated on by ACCE for the benefit of our engineers, honorable members of ACCE. This is what I wanted to say as regarding the skill development in civil engineering field. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now I will call upon Dr. Kalgal to have his views on this subject. And I also want him to address a question raised by Srikant Channel in this chat box. Don't you feel degraded when your name does not reflect on building name only with architect's name, not yours? So you can take up both.
Okay. Excellent presentation as expected. With his vast experience, and I have always admired him for taking up challenges every time and always looking at alternatives as a byword. He always would look at an alternative instead of going the normal way. So that is something which is very rare to find. We tend to go the trodden path, whereas he normally tries to take up and experiment with something. It requires a lot of self-confidence as well as a thorough learning, which I have seen him doing. I mean, you take any webinar that's happening every day, you will see him in one or the other of those webinars. Not saying that I already have more than 50 years of experience, there's nothing for me to learn. No. So that is something he is that way a leader for all of us in honing up our skills. Coming to the skills, as Professor Jagdish mentioned, there are various types of skills that are required by all of us in whatever position we are, right from the site engineer to the chief consultant and the project manager. Everyone needs to have their special skills, but skills in each other's departments as well. So that is something which he has also highlighted, and we need to discuss. There is one of the main aims of ACCE, as I remember. I mean, Dr. Ramprakash is the founder, one of the founder members, was to have roundtables and discussions where we discuss each other's problems and see what the solutions were. Instead of everyone trying to invent the wheel, these problems that we face and the care that we need to take is a rich repository available in bits and pieces amongst all of us. So ACCE should create more platforms for discussion of case studies, I feel, where everyone can learn about the different nuances. It could be a design-oriented issue. This could be an execution-oriented issue, as it could be an inspection-oriented issue, like whether there were 3 bolts out of 4 which were there. I mean, most important thing according to me is very keen observation capability and a kind of urge to learn as much as possible. You can never be 100% perfect, but you can try to move towards that. So skill sets, yes, skill sets are required, and as N. Prakash said, probably it is mandatory to explain to everybody at site, including the clients, as to what are the specialities of that particular project and what care generally needs to be taken. Of course, there will be different people handling different issues. They will do it, but everyone else also should know so that they appreciate the concern expressed by the others. Now, coming to the question by Shrikant Chanal, I am not surprised. The heat that is on always. But Shrikant, we live or we are from a land where we are expected to, do our job and not expect recognition everywhere. Now, we are talking of structural engineers getting recognized. What about electrical engineers? What about plumbing engineers? What about, air conditioning engineers? None of them get recognized. Yeah, there is one project head who by practice has been the architect now, and hence his name comes. So it's okay. I mean, we all say that the famous example of John of ISRO, that civil engineers are curry leaves. Curry leaves are required for flavor, but when you are about to eat, you take the curry leaves out of the plate and you eat only the dish. So that's how life has been. But yes, we shall fight for our rightful place, but we need not be unduly worried that our name doesn't come on any plate. This is my response to it.
Thank you, Dr. Kalgal, for your very valid answer to that. And yeah.
Sir, Mr. Kannan, can I just say one word which I think is a must?
Yeah, please.
Can I just tell you? When I did this space structure in this thing, Mysore Cements, in the inauguration there was a big bash, and then the president turned around and said, he proposed a toast, and he said, "Doctor, you have made my dream come true." To which I answered the toast by saying, "Sir, you have made my dream come true. But for an example, for everybody like me, I need a man like you." So, that's what the crux of the matter is, that the management or the senior persons, know what you're talking about, and then they reply. That's number one. Second one, we should learn to give credit to people who do these jobs along with you. Here I put up, I think you can see this slide on the space structure. You see the man standing there looking at it? Can all of you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's the man who did it for us. He is project manager, one Mr. John Jacob or somebody like that. I'm telling you, he and his 75 workers on the site who did this. It is not only me or somebody, I don't want to take credit. Everybody has done it. Whatever they said, even the contractor who took up this job, the fabricator, he's got his own idiosyncrasies, but he did this job. So we must pay compliments to these people. So when this was inaugurated, I made it a point to make this person stand up in the congregation and said he deserves the credit for doing this. This is something we should learn, that we should give credit to people when they do it along with you. Okay? Sorry for the interference.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we are now in the end of the session. Thanksgiving note. Before that, I just want to make some announcement. We have taken up the series of lectures by Dr. Ram Prakash. 4 lectures have been planned. One of that today we have completed. The next program will be on 5th of September and 12th of September and 19th of September. The topics which he will be speaking is case studies with appurtenant unique challenges encountered and circumvented, varied types of concrete shell from projects and cropping challenges, and then pre-stressed concrete project case studies and important issues thereon. These 3 lectures will follow every Saturday. And then we are also going to bring some series of lectures on sustainability in construction. We are talking to Dr. Ajit, Dr. Kalgal, and some more speakers. So we will be just keeping you informed about those programs also. And we have already circulated the notice for our virtual AGM, which is planned on 19th September, evening 5 o'clock. Request all to attend. And then I conclude this session with thanking today's speaker, Dr. Ram Prakash, and thanking our panelists, Dr. RJ and Dr. Kalgal, and then our President ACCE, who has moderated the program. And thank you once again to all the members. Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thank you. Bye.